The game is Dama, Damen, and Damas, Damenspiel, Damenspiele, Jeu de Dames, checkers, and drafts. You probably heard one of those names before. Greetings, gamer. Welcome back to my game room. I'm going to assume for this video that you are familiar with the game of checkers, also called drafts and also called a lot of other names around the world. It's been around for centuries, and I am considering the idea of doing a video that focuses strictly on the history of the game of checkers. For this video, and probably others, I will use the name checkers to refer to this game because I'm an American. The subject of this week's video in particular is called Dama, Filipino Dama, as a matter of fact. It is a unique form of the game that is played in the Philippines. Given the unique position of the Philippines and the theater of the Pacific Ocean, there have been many influences to the culture over the years. And what they actually have is kind of a hybrid culture there in the Philippines. Chinese merchants, Spanish conquistadors, Dutch merchants, Portuguese merchants have all visited the islands. And of course later it was a site of a lot of warfare, and then the American annexation, and finally their own independence. And all these came together in a unique melting pot of culture. Now I have here on the table a typical checkers set here that you're probably all familiar with. What's interesting about the Filipino version of checkers or Dama is that they borrowed from many different cultures. The rule set that they use is primarily from a Malaysian form of checkers, adapted to the 8x8 European style board, but that board is very unique in its appearance. Take the typical 8x8 checkerboard, put dots on the squares that are used in the basic game. Take away all the unused squares. Now connect those dots with straight lines, and take away the remaining squares. This is the essential form of the checkerboard, the part of it that's being played, and the Filipinos decided to do away with all that excess artwork and just stick to the essentials of the game. Excuse me here for a brief interruption. After I had this video completed and edited and ready to go, I discovered some new information. Apparently about 20 years ago, a fellow named Rob Jansen made a connection with a Moorish game called Andereya. The name of the game comes from a Moroccan word documented by one Sebastian de Covarrubias in 1610. Except that the diagram seems to be reversed in that account. It may be that the Filipino game actually existed on the Iberian Peninsula as far back as the 15th century. History is indeed a moving target. But of course that's not the only thing unique about it. Let's just take a look at the rules. On this minimalist game board of points and lines, the pieces are set up as you'd expect in a game of checkers, 12 per player on opposite sides of the board. The objective is also what you'd expect: eliminate all the opposing pieces or reach a point where one player cannot move or jump. The basic movement is one piece, one space forward per turn with no backward moves allowed. The captures are by the short leap, also as in checkers, but in Dama, a jump can be made backwards. Captures are compulsory, including chain jumps. If you can jump, you must jump. If an equal choice of jumps is available, it's up to the player to choose. However, if it's a chain jumping opportunity, the longer option must be taken. Also, jumped pieces are not taken from the board until the end of the jumping sequence. All this is pretty straightforward until a piece reaches the opposite edge of the board. A piece ending its turn in one of those four spaces is crowned and becomes a peg promoted to Rey Volador, a flying king with special powers of movement and capture. This is signified by flipping the checker over to its opposite side, which bears the image of a crown. If your set of checkers does not have this arrangement, the stacking thing works just as well. In the peg pass times peg version of the game, the peg is simply replaced by its alternate color. In this case, a black peg is swapped in to represent the new king. A yellow peg would be used for the white player's kings. Because normal jumps can be backwards, if a piece lands on one of those spaces temporarily as part of a chain jump, it's not promoted to king. The turn has to end on one of those 4 promotion spaces. The flying king's powers are formidable. The king can move along a straight line as far as they wish, as long as there are no other pieces in the way. In addition, they can perform the long jump, passing over any number of empty spaces to jump over and capture an enemy piece, and passing over other empty spaces beyond the piece they've just captured. These kings are subject to the same compulsory jumping rules as regular pieces, and if a long jump can result in another jump, the king must land in a position to do so, and do so. Regarding capturing a king, they're like any other piece on the board. Any piece can capture any piece. Drawing a king in for capture is a great feeling. When the last enemy piece is captured and the game is over. But there are other ways to win Filipino Dama. If the opponent's pieces are trapped and can't move or jump, as long as the last player to move has a next move available, they win. Otherwise, it's possible that all pieces on the board are locked in place. In that rare situation, the pieces on the board are counted up, and the player with the most pieces in play wins. Even rarer still, this result could be that both players have the same number of pieces left. That's a draw game. So if you're ready for a new checker challenge, this is it. Filipino Dama is an outstanding member of the checker family. I highly recommend that you play this game. And of course, it's available from NewVenture Games as part of our Peg Pastime series of classic games from around the world. So check out the NewVenture store and see if you can get a copy for yourself over there. Sorry, future me one more time. I have to point out that this video is being released before the end of the Kickstarter campaign in which the game of Filipino Dama is being introduced to the product line. So, what I said about being available in the store is not entirely true unless you're looking at this video after April of 2024. Before that, we'll still be doing the fulfillment for the Kickstarter campaign. So if you'd like to get in on it a little earlier than that, log into your Kickstarter account and pledge to make this actually happen. And not only will you be first on your block to be able to get Filipino Dama, but you'll also save a few bucks off the retail price. So I definitely encourage you to do that. Once again, thanks very much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you in my game room in the coming weeks. And of course, whatever version of checkers you play, be sure to play every day.